Hello, parents and carers of Year 4. This is the Year 4 summer second half term KERF homework, which is rounding to the nearest 10, 100 and 1,000. Now, we know that we covered this during lockdown, but the children are at very different places, so we're going over this again this half term to make sure they all know it before they go to Year 5. And we've laid the homework out in 3 different sections. One is at the very, very beginning, the basic stuff rounding to 10. The middle section is rounding to 10, 100 and 1,000. And the mastery question is being able to apply that knowledge to a word problem. And that's the same every single week. So let's have a little look to start with. The first question for each homework is basic rounding to the nearest 10. So children need to know the boundaries from a certain number, knowing the multiples before and after a certain number, and being able to say which one it is closest to. Over the course of the 6 weeks homework, that does build in knowledge so that understanding enables them to round to the nearest 10 fluently. We expect everyone should try the first question on the homework sheet every week, and as children do this in their KERF lessons in school and progress, they should find this increasingly easier. The second question is a bit harder and more challenging. We also expect children to progress in this second question every week and find it easier as the half term goes along. I'll explain this one in a little bit more detail. Children are given a starting number, and each starting number has been rounded. It's either been rounded to the nearest 10, the nearest 100, or the nearest 1,000. The rounded number is on the right hand side. And what children need to try and do is find, has it been rounded to the nearest 10, the nearest 100, or the nearest 1,000 to make the end number. Now, this is quite challenging because in some situations there's more than one possible answer. So what we'd like children to do to start with is to see which ones they can find. Maybe they can find one answer or 2 answers or 3 answers. And as they get more confident and we spend more time with them doing this in the classroom, towards the end of the half term, we'd hope that they'd be able to do 4, 5 or 6 of these confidently. Let's have a look at one to get started. The first number is 3,764. Now, what I would suggest is that you then scan down the end numbers to see which one it could possibly be. So if we look down here, we've got 3,000. Well, it can't be that because that rounded to 10, 100 and 1,000 isn't 3,000. This is the obvious one here. Now, 3,764 rounded to the nearest 10 is 3,760. So it can't be rounded to the nearest 10. 3,764 rounded to the nearest 100 rounds up to 3,800. So it must be rounded to the nearest 100. And here we have the answer. So that one's pretty straightforward. The next one is a good example of where there's more than one possible answer. We have the starting number 5,250. Now if we round that to the nearest 100, it rounds to 5,300. If we round it to the nearest 1,000, it rounds to 5,000. So we have 2 possible correct answers here. Now, if your child is going to try and go for all of these correct, what I would suggest is they leave that one out and come back to it later when one of those possible answers has been taken away by another one down here. But to start off, we could say 5,250 rounded to the nearest 100 is 5,300. Okay, now if they do something like this and then they realise later on they've maybe chosen one of the incorrect possible answers, then that's okay. They don't have to do all 6 and get all 6 right to start with. This is going to build up. Okay, I hope that makes sense. See how many they can do, 1, 2 or 3 to get started, and then increase slowly over the next 6 weeks. Okay, let's look at the mastery question. As I said before, for this question, they have to have a knowledge of rounding and then apply it to a real life problem. And to help, what we're going to do is each Monday afternoon when we give out the homework, we will spend 10 minutes going through this question with all the children in the class. It doesn't have to be attempted by every child. Certainly anyone in the yellow group for maths needs to have a go at this. And we'll be looking at the answers and the possible answers on the Friday when homework comes in. So have a go at this, everyone in yellow group. The green should give it a try, definitely have a go. And these, again, should get easier as we go through the unit. Okay, remember, it's this middle question here that's the hardest one, really. For most, I would say, again, just try and get 1, 2 or 3 right to start with and aim for week 6 to be having a go at getting 4, 5 or 6 correct. I hope that makes sense. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.